How are you doing? People were asking us for some data on some recent solds and sales. We thought, why not just do a full-on market update? I'm gonna give you guys the stats and data as they come to us live. I think one of the biggest things people are always asking us for is information on the marketplace. And last week we actually polled the audience asking them, what type of information do you want in the market updates? We've been doing shorter snippets every single Monday on our Instagram channel at Prime Real Estate Brokerage. But we used to do these long form ones on Facebook and Facebook Live. So we're gonna go back to that format. We're still gonna try and keep it under 10 minutes just because your time is ultra valuable, and you'll see me looking back and forth. That's because we're recording it for YouTube and our other platforms as well. You can find us obviously on our Facebook channel at Prime Real Estate, on Instagram at Prime Real Estate Brokerage, or you can just look up Prime Real Estate Brokerage on YouTube, and those are the three main places to disseminate our content. The other thing I'm going to do is give you guys a little bit of a state of the union as far as what's happening here at Prime. Obviously the weather outside, you can see it in that camera, you can't really see it on this camera, but it is snowy as can be, and that actually has a lot to do with the market update that I'm going to give you and give you some insights as to how that impacts the marketplace and whatnot as well. So let me just jump right into it because you guys are here for the stats and I want to give you the information. The other thing I want to say is if you're in the actual stream and you're curious about any statistics, any specific areas, just let me know and I'll get you guys the data, or I'll answer whatever real estate questions you could possibly want. So the banner at the top of the market update when you go onto the London St. Thomas Board of Realtors said that it was one of the craziest Octobers we've ever had. Historically, we actually set a record. So if you've been tracking our market for the last 3 or 4 years, we consistently set records month after month, but it's always up and down. And if you've been watching our regular market updates, you know that it's been a seller's market for a very long time. The inventory ramped up for a bit, became a bit of a buyer's market, but we were right back into a seller's market in certain price points and products. So the actual number of homes that sold last October was record setting. It was 928. Something I'll say is the number of homes that sold isn't necessarily reflective of just the London area or just the St. Thomas area. LSTAR, or the London St. Thomas Board of Realtors, actually covers a very large territory. Picture, Lake Erie to Lake Huron, Woodstock to about Sarnia. So there's a lot of micro markets, but the overall climate of our board activity is something you should be paying attention to because it definitely makes a difference for your property. The total number of homes that have sold up to this year is 8,903. That's almost 9,000 homes, and that is about 3.4% more than last year. So there's more homes actually selling. Population is definitely increasing as well too. The last time the sales soared to these heights were 1978, just to give you an idea. The number of actually active listings went up from 1,596 last year to 1,700 this year, which is an uptick, small percentage point increase from last year. And the sales of new listing in our jurisdiction was set at, sales of new listing ratio for the entire association was 79.5%, 2.4% higher than last year. And the overall average price of a home in our jurisdiction, $412,883. So that's a good macro indicator just to let you know what people are paying for in properties, single family detached homes in these areas. And it does make a big difference to people coming from outside market, because if you're coming from Hamilton and you hear that that's our average price point, or you're coming from Kitchener, Toronto, it may make a big difference in terms of affordability and what you can buy. Elgin County, the average price was $394, London was $416, Middlesex as a whole was $482, St. Thomas was $349, Strathroy $438, LSTAR as a whole $412. I can tell you, depending on where you're looking, say you went up to the Grand Bend area or Lake Huron area, single family detached, you're in, I'd say for properties that you're going to renovate a bit, 300 to 500. Properties that are luxury properties or brand new construction, you're likely going to be in the high 4s to the low 6s, 7s. And then you can go up from there. You want to buy a beachfront property, you're $3 or $4 million, which seems like a lot right now, but in the grand scheme of things, I don't necessarily think it's going to be a lot in 10 years. The other thing I wanted to give you guys was a little bit of an insight into what we're seeing from an agent perspective, because that data tells you, yes, we're still back in the seller's market. There's a high amount of activity, and when I'm looking at the daily statistics, there's almost as many homes that are being listed as being sold. So it's kind of steady, right? What I mentioned earlier on in the episode holds very true. It depends on the price point, depends on the pricing strategy of the people listing the homes. Because homes that are listed in the, let's say under $300,000 range very aggressively are getting 35, 40 showings and tons of offers. Even homes that are priced in the 450 to 500 range, you're looking at 20 to 50 showings, especially if it needs a lot of renovations. Because if you're in an Oak Ridge area and you can buy a home for 450 and there's a recent comp that was just set for 550,000, all of a sudden that changes things. And that exact thing just happened. Last year there was a home in Oak Ridge that would likely have traded in the 425 range. There were a bunch of recent sales in that same pocket of renovated properties at the $550,000 range, which makes a big difference because now the renovators or the flippers or the rehabbers are going to look at it and say, I have sales that have happened in the last 90 days that support me going in and doing this renovation. So if you're a seller wondering about value, things like that do make a big difference, but you won't necessarily see that data for another 3 or 4 months. It does all impact kind of down the timeline, which is why we try to do these live and we want to give you guys information today, because these are statistics that we are actually looking at today and then looking at those properties and pricing them based on this data, and then the public will see that listing in like 60 days. Let's touch on the next thing. The weather outside is frightening. The amount of listings that were up this year largely could have been due in fact that it was sunny up until last week, and the weather was good up until, let's say, around last week. And it wasn't great weather, but it was still not impeding people from listing properties. My anticipation is you're going to see a pile of listings from now until, let's say, beginning mid-December. It's going to die off for Christmas time, and I think January, February is going to be an absolute rush. Remember last year this time we were doing the same market update and we were telling people we're not entirely sure where the market's going to go because it was kind of ho-hum and quiet, and then it just ramped up and went crazy from January until March. So if you're thinking of selling or buying, definitely get into consultations now, because what you're doing now is the type of things you're going to actually be doing in 60 to 90 days. And one thing you don't want to do in real estate is rush things. You want to be very, very well prepared. A couple of housekeeping things that I kind of wanted to go over with you guys was Prime as an outfit. We're not your mom and pop's real estate brokerage. We are actually very, very different. We operate as a company more so than independent sales representatives. Even your typical real estate team in real estate operates as a real estate team. We don't even look at ourselves in that capacity. We look at ourselves as a 360-degree real estate consulting firm. We have a residential arm, we have an investment arm, we have a commercial arm, and all three of those operate with some of the very best in the industry, and it all comes back to the team mentality of being able to leverage each other's networks and strengths. That said, I just want to give you guys an update in all three of those facets because we do cover all three and they do impact each other. I use the word focus diversification. In our market, what you're doing in the commercial world definitely impacts the investment world and impacts the residential world, because all three of those things, you may be buying in an area where actually literally right behind you next spring they're going to be digging a huge retail plaza, so buying a new construction project might be advantageous of getting there before something comes up. You know, there's another project that we're working on that we're about to do the dark launch for, and that is a very obscure, hey, this project is happening in this area, you want to get first mover pricing, contact us now. That's something that we're going to expose our entire audience to this Saturday. So buying pre-construction or even before the project's been announced typically gives you a big advantage as a buyer. You get first pricing on it before the next phase has been released. It means you're making 5 to 10 to 15% on your money. And if you want to understand pre-construction purchasing, you're going to want to come to our event on Saturday. It is a private invite only event. I'll send you guys the link in the actual notes. We have, I believe, about 75 people registered for this event. We were going to host it here, but it's too big now, too many people signed up, and we also just landed one of the largest land developers in North America to come down and talk about the state of the union and the state of the market in real estate. So you guys are all welcome to come to that. Fire me a DM if you don't see. Mike Steele, thanks for joining. I think you're coming, actually. I think I saw one of your name pop up on the invites, and we're actually bringing Jazz Takar and the REC team, one of the top 3 teams in the country, to talk about the state of real estate in Southwestern Ontario, what works in their market, what works in our market, what our actual clients are out there doing, and there's going to be some pretty high-level investors there waxing poetic on what they've done, what they've seen work, and what they don't see necessarily working in the marketplace. We're very dialed in on what we do real estate-wise, the residential properties that we sell, the commercial and the investment stuff. The people that are going to be there are some movers and shakers, and we're pretty fired up, even just looking at the list. And the best part about it is we're not actually selling you anything. The entire event is focused around our community, us giving back, connecting people. That's always been something I've been super passionate about, is introducing person A to person B, something comes from it, great. You know, worst case scenario, you have a similar interest and you develop a friendship. That's what this event is on steroids, because you have some of the most prolific investors that are going to be there showing you different ways to approach that world. So you can DM me that. On the commercial side of things, I want to give a shout out to my man Jamie Dodds. We've been working on a pile of deals together. There's been a lot happening in the commercial world, and recently there were 3 deals that really stand out that got done. There was 186 York Street, so the Design House London building, a 15,000 square foot lease. Actually, we had approached them even before Design House London was there, almost got a deal done, but commercial is a long play game, and that same tenant ended up coming back and doing the deal years later, and the optics of it are absolutely incredible, phenomenal deal. If you're downtown London, you've been seeing the Digital Echidna building, 103 King. So we managed that building when Digital Echidna was looking to do a sublease. We brought in there was Digital Echidna, Demand Metric, and then Race Roster. It was a trifecta of things moving between those 3 companies, and we managed all 3 of those to get Race Roster into that building. Race Roster is moving to a different location, and we actually just leased out the top 2 floors of 103 King Street, and we did a showing at the bottom 2 floors last week, and I think that is an ideal tenant for downtown London. So watch your radar for who's moving into that space. The space at 352 Talbot, that is now leased as well too, and those 3 deals are pretty massive things for downtown London. There's a lot of tenants and things happening in and around that area. Another building we're working on with Mike Manuel. We've got some recent interest in that, and I think that there could be something pretty cool happening there as well. From the investment side of things, again, I spoke to the fact that we're pretty dialed in on the type of business we like to do in the investing world. We work with a lot of the upper scale investors, the people that are buying large multifamily deals, commercial properties, buying and renovating smaller multifamily, but dealing with that upper crust qualified people that deal in legal, solid rental properties and are doing great things. Lindsay Gowan, actually our in-house, she's a designer, she's a real estate investor herself, she's an agent, she's been doing some awesome things. Nathan down in St. Thomas, Victor with the condo market. It's been pretty wild to see what's happening on that side of things. And then last, there was actually a big announcement on the residential side of things. You've been watching that side of our business. You obviously saw a couple things. You saw that we had a new partnership with KDB Homes, Korean Design Build. Definitely one of the most detailed, amazing builders in London. They're building an upper crust luxury product, custom homes. We actually have a home that we can show you now for a very short period of time. We're doing open houses there for the next couple weeks to show you really what the quality looks like, but that one's sold. It's gone and off the market, and we're gonna be building another home for the spring with them. We have a pile of lot availabilities. Really, when it comes to new homes, if you've seen our series on new home construction, education is so crucial and so important. We're gonna be putting out a lot of information, just equipping you to go out and do it. But if you want a one-on-one consult, contact me directly. I will gladly sit down with you, give you all the information, even if you want to use your Uncle Jimmy, the agent, or somebody else. I don't really care. I want consumers to be educated, and I want you to see the product that we have. Another big announcement on the residential side of things, Scott McGilvery gave us the McGilvery mark. So Scott McGilvery is the star of HGTV's Income Property. He's got a number of shows. He's got a wicked YouTube channel. I've known Scott personally for a number of years now. We worked very closely with them on the investment side of things. They contacted us and they ended up giving us the McGilvery Trusted Agent mark for our entire territory. So they're putting a lot of faith in us, so we definitely want to deliver on that. And we have a couple more big announcements coming up in the next couple months. We love you guys to death. We hope that you get a lot of value from these market updates. We're going to continue to do them, but we want you guys to give us some feedback in terms of what you want, and we'll try and dial it in. We'll do one big one every single month, and we'll chop it up into smaller, more consumable ones every single Monday. But hopefully that gave you guys some value, and looking forward to seeing you guys very soon.